Hello, I'd like to demonstrate an issue I found with NCurses. It's an issue that should seem quite obvious to me, but it didn't for a little while, and it's an issue that it was basically lazy coding on my part. So what the problem boils down to is this: if we've got on the code that we had and that I'd written, if we've got this now, and this is the standard sort of size for the console, then it just goes nuts, and it doesn't look right. It doesn't scroll properly, and the text goes black, which is not ideal behavior. Now, the reason that happens is because I was pretty lazy inside of the code, and I specified an absolute size for all of these windows, and it's pretty obvious why I specified an absolute size for the LCD screen and for the register window. You know, you can understand that we need a specific size for those. But for this window here, what we should have done is we should have used the NCurses lines function, value, which returns how many lines your terminal has got, and to get that right, we need to get rid of how many lines we've used for the LCD screen at the top. So what that will now do is that will now work, and the reason it didn't work before was because 30 plus 11 equals 41, and the standard size of a terminal, this happens to be console, but most of them anyway, is 24. And that created an issue. So if we were to make that now, okay, that now works. Obviously, it's not very good because it spills all the contents up, and you can't read what was at the top of the help. So, what we can do as an addendum to this is we can go into the main function, and I've actually commented this out because it's easier to sort of add it back in as a comment less thing. So what I did was I said, look, if lines is less than 24, and 24 is probably too small, so in reality that should probably be a little bit higher, because otherwise, as you've seen, we end up with that issue where we can't actually see anything on the screen, and 30 is probably about as minimum as I like, so let's say 32. And columns is less than 80, so that's check that the terminal's big enough. If it's not, then shut down curses and print an error. So we'll demonstrate that now. So if we save that there, and then we remake the file, and then we rerun the file, we can see that what it says is, at the moment your terminal is not big enough. Oh, in fact, we need to change that as well, don't we? We need to tell it that inside of there, we need to say that we want height of 32 rather than 24. Shush. Right, so we'll just, oh, come on, we'll try that again. So there we go. So there's the error. It tells you what your current height and your current width and all the rest of it are, and so therefore if we resize that so that it now comes up to the meets the minimum requirement, and then we rerun it, it now works. And because we've used the lines minus, where did we get that from? Inside of fsm.h, inside of the system refresh, because we've actually used the reset inside the reset function, because we've used the lines minus 11, it actually formats the screen for us. So this window here is always going to be one less than the size of the screen, and it's always going to have a nice line between it, so that it makes it look like it's scrolling underneath the other top two windows. So the upshot of this video really is, don't be lazy, and check the size of the terminal before you start writing code. Otherwise you end up with all sorts of weird problems that take about an hour to troubleshoot, because I'm still learning my way around cursors.